Hello there. Happy Money Monday, and welcome back to another episode of the Empowered and Abundant podcast. This week, I am so excited to talk about the meta value of powerful investments that you make in yourself as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. And when I talk about investments, what I'm referring to is investments of a couple different varieties, but especially investing in yourself, investing in your business, investing in your mindset. So, this could be hiring a coach, whether it's for different personal things, mindset things, or a business coach, for example, or maybe it's not even coaching, but different other business investments, like investing in specific services for your business. Those kinds of investments. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about today because I have a very specific mindset and perspective that I bring to the investments that I make. And I haven't always had this perspective, I haven't always had this mindset. And it has really been a game changer for me in my business, being a full time coach, a full time business owner, and being somebody who has invested tons of money in my business. At this point, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. I'd have to look and see, but it's over $200,000 that I have invested in my business to grow this full time coaching business. And also the work that I do around money. Yes, we look at the flow of money in, but we also look at the powerful flow of money out in your life and how you're flowing money out in all directions towards what is most important to you. And a big part of that is using your money strategically and intentionally to create your vision. And that is through the power of investments, because investments are something that you expect to receive value in return. It's a little different when you buy something, right? I mean, anytime you buy anything, there's always a reason why you buy it. It's because there's some amount of value that you expect to return, right? If you buy a Starbucks coffee, you're expecting to receive the value of, like, I don't know, that delicious morning routine or that caffeine boost. Like, yes, there is something that you're gaining or benefiting from. But the difference between just like spending and investing is when you invest, you expect a return on those investments. Commonly, when we think of investing, we think of like the stock market and things like that, which is one version of investing, but also you can invest in other ways because an investment is just something that you are expecting a return on. Now, the other reason why I wanted to talk about this now and why I think this conversation is really important now is because at this exact moment, enrollment is open for the Empowered Abundance Program. And I have been having this exact conversation with people on my consultations. And this is, I believe, a really important, really impactful conversation. So I want to make sure to have it with you now because you can take this with you into every single investment that you make in your business, whatever that is, whatever choice that is, whatever coach that is, you can take this with you. But especially if you're somebody who's been in my world for a little while and you've been thinking about working together, you've been thinking about joining Empowered Abundance, this conversation is extra important for you because right now you have the opportunity to decide, are you going to invest in the Empowered Abundance Program? Are you going to invest in the result of transforming your relationship with money so that you can live your most abundant life and support yourself financially with the work that you love? So, this is an important conversation for all moments in time, but especially right now because enrollment is currently open. So, I haven't always had this perspective around investing. In fact, when I first invested in my business 5 years ago, when I hired my first business coach, the energy that I brought into that investment, the intention that I brought into that investment was very different. What this looked like was I met this woman. She said she could help me. We had a conversation about working together. She told me about how she could help me. I felt nervous. I felt uncertain. I felt unsure. And what I said to her on that call was, I need you to guarantee that this will work for me because I'm desperate. I'm not making any money. I need this to work and I need you to guarantee that it will work. And what she said is, I can't guarantee anything, right? The normal thing, the normal spiel. I can't guarantee anything. It's about how you show up, and results are not guaranteed. And I said, okay. But deep down, I was still hoping that she could guarantee them, that I was going to hand over my money to this woman and that this woman was going to somehow magically solve all of my problems, and that I was purchasing the result of her miraculously waving a magic wand and giving me everything that I desired. I also had the expectation that the program in and of itself and what I was going to learn within that program would solve all of my problems. Right? I'm sure you're listening to this and you're like, right, exactly. That makes perfect sense. Isn't that what making an investment is? And yes, all of those things are true, but there are some very significant differences that I have now. So let's flash forward through that investment. I implemented a lot of the things that this coach told me to do, and it didn't really get me anywhere. By the time I was done working with her, I hadn't signed any new clients. I went through her whole process and it felt like none of it worked. And at the time, it kind of felt like a big waste of money. But what I learned from that investment is that it wasn't a waste of money because I actually received a ton of value from that investment, even though during that investment, I didn't get the result that I was expecting. And the primary value that I gained and the biggest lesson that I learned from that investment was in that moment when I invested in working with that coach. That was a moment where I doubled down on my business. You see, before this, I was struggling. I was pondering, should I give up? Should I keep going? How do I know when should I throw in the towel? How hard am I going to go for this? I was questioning everything. I was wondering if I was crazy. People were telling me that I was crazy. I was having fights with my family, saying, "Scarlett, would you just go get a real job? This is ridiculous." Now, on top of that, I was going to not only was I not making money, now I'm going to spend money in order to try and make this work. It felt very risky and very terrifying. But what happened was when I made that decision, when I made that choice to invest in this business coach, what I said was, I am committed to my business. I am committed to my success. This is important. I am in it for the long haul, and therefore I am willing to spend time on this. I'm willing to invest energy into this, and I'm willing to invest my money into this. I'm willing to bet on this, and also I'm willing to bet on me, to bet on my vision, to bet on the business that I truly want to be running. And so even though I went through that program and didn't start miraculously signing clients, the biggest result that I gained from that investment was believing in myself and committing to my business more than ever before. Because now I had more skin in the game. Now I was more committed. And this decision, this commitment, this momentum is exactly what propelled me to keep going, to keep investing. Even after that, I didn't use that investment as evidence and proof that investments are bad, that they don't work, that coaching doesn't work. And instead, I used it as an opportunity to double down and say, I am committed to this. I'm going to keep going. And since then, I worked with 3 more business coaches. And from every single investment, I learned more and more. Yes, through the investments within themselves, but also who I became as a result of the fact that I invested. And that is exactly what I want to talk about with you today, is the difference between the value of the investment and the meta value that comes from the fact that you invest at all. And I think most people are missing out on this whole other subset of value that you have access to, especially if you're somebody who has ever invested in your business, your vision, getting coaching, getting support. And there's a huge opportunity for you to gain even more value from the investments that you're already making and any investments that you ever make in the future. And this is something I started to learn with that first investment, but I didn't really learn it and it didn't really sink in until a few years later. And now the way that I make investments is totally different. If we look at the investment I made into the current business coach that I work with, and this coach costs way more than that first investment I ever made. And the container is totally different as well, right? I spent for my first ever coach, maybe it was 2,400 for 3 months of one-on-one coaching. Now I'm spending $10,000 for 6 months of large group coaching. And my energy is totally different. Before, I was surrendering power and control and authority over to my coach. I was saying, your process, your coaching, it better work. I need you to come in and fix me and solve my problems because something is wrong. And I hope that what you do works. Otherwise, I'm going to be screwed. Versus now I'm in the energy and the mindset of I'm doing okay. I know what I'm doing. I'm the one with the authority and the power and the control over my life and over my business. I'm not investing because there's something wrong with me. I'm investing because I care about continuing to grow. I'm investing because there's a vision that I am excited to keep working towards. And I know that when I get support, it expands my momentum. I'm also someone who used to have lone wolf thoughts. And I used to think like, oh, if I'm investing, then it means I can't do it on my own. And I want to prove that I can do it on my own. I should be able to do it on my own. My own value, my own mindset, my own beliefs about myself were tied to the fact of whether or not I was investing. Versus now, I completely do not have that perspective. I believe if I have a lot of skills. I believe I do know how to run a business. I believe I actually know what steps to take and I know what to do. And I do believe that I can do it on my own. And at the same time, I love having support because I know having support leads to continued exponential growth. And having support says nothing about me, my skill sets, my ability, my self-worth. In fact, I actually use the fact that I am someone that invests. I am somebody that's dedicated to my business, dedicated to growing. I use the fact that I do invest to fuel my own self-belief. So my entire relationship with investing is different. And now I'm also not looking at my coach and saying, you need to solve all my problems. You need to give me all the answers. Your program better work for me. Otherwise, it's a problem and you're doing something wrong and this just doesn't work for me. Now, when I invest, I maintain my sense of ownership, power, and control. I show up and receive the value that is there for me, no matter how the program is structured. Even like this is a large group container that I'm in. I go months without even talking to my coach face to face, but it's worth every penny because I find the ways to receive the value no matter what and get what I paid for. I don't show up saying I need to come to every call, I need to do everything, I need to watch every video. Instead, I say, what's going to really support me in getting to where I want to go right now? What's going to really support me in getting the end result? And how can I utilize this value that is present to me in order to make that a reality? So my mindset about myself, my business, the investment, the energy I bring to the investment, the energy through which I think about my coach, All of that is different. And what it has done is it has put the power and the control of my business back in my hands. I am the one in control of my results, and I leverage and utilize my investments strategically to continue to support me in getting to where I want to go. Most people spend their time just looking at the value of the container itself, the content of the container itself. So, for example, when I have conversations with people about joining Empowered Abundance, what we talk about at first is, how is the program set up? What's the process that I take you through? Can this really work for you? Can this really help you in getting to where you want to go? And all of those things are important questions. Like, of course, you want to be investing in something that is in alignment for you. It does work for you. It does support you in getting the end results. But then after that conversation, the real conversation is, who do you need to become in order to make this investment in yourself? Because when people are deciding to join Empowered Abundance, it's normal that obstacles and hurdles get in the way. Either the timing of the program doesn't line up, or the price point feels really intimidating or scary. Maybe you wonder, is this really going to work for me? Oh, it sounds like there might be a lot of work. Am I going to be able to follow through? Do I trust myself to get the value? Do I trust myself to show up fully? Do I believe that if I do this, it will actually work for me? And this is the point where we often surrender that power and that control over to the investment, to the program, to the coach. And we say, does this fit me in my current situations, in my current mindset, and my current circumstances? Versus, I love to use my investments as an opportunity to become a new person. That's how I use my investments. So as I make larger and larger investments in myself, I see it as an opportunity to stretch in so many ways. I have to stretch my mindset, in my belief in myself, in what I'm capable of my commitment, of how I'm going to show up, how I'm going to follow through. And I have to have the belief that I am the one in control of my results, that I can guarantee that I will get the value no matter what. And this perspective is what has allowed me to invest more and more with more confidence as well. When I made my first investment in my first business coach, that conversation that I had with my boyfriend was horrible. I remember sitting on the couch crying, fighting with him, feeling like a crazy person, wondering if I was making a huge, massive mistake, but knowing that it was something I had to do anyway. Versus when I invested in my $10,000 coach for the first time, it was one of the easiest investments I ever made. I didn't have that much drama about it. I didn't have that much fear about it. And when I talked about it with my boyfriend, I confidently laid out all the reasons why it was worth it and was guaranteed to pay for itself because of who I decided to be in the investment itself and how I was going to show up and guarantee the value for myself. So when I'm often on a consultation with people who are interested in Empowered Abundance, the hurdles that come up, the obstacles that come up, the objections of, I don't know if I can afford it. I'm afraid that it might not work. Those obstacles, that is just a mirror for all the things in your life that are already currently holding you back from living your most abundant life and building the abundant business that you desire. And in this consultation, if Empowered Abundance is the right next step for you, if it does feel in alignment, what the investment is asking you to do, What it is requiring you to do is to believe that it is worth it, to believe that your vision is worth it, to believe that you are capable of getting the results no matter what. It requires you to believe that you will follow through, that you will show up in a way where it doesn't matter what happens in the program and the container, but that you will make sure that it does pay for itself because of how you show up and by seeking the value that you came there for in the first place. It also requires you to believe that you can pay for it, that you can be the person who is capable of paying for it, that you are capable of calling in more money, that your next level of abundance is possible, that it is worth it, and that you can be the person who can take this leap and have it pay off. And that's why when people do invest in empowered abundance, it is a huge deal. And I celebrate them all massively. If you're a current client of mine and you're listening to this is what we talk about on the very first call. The moment that you decide to invest, it is a quantum leap moment because it means that you do believe in your vision. You do believe in your next level of abundance, and you believe in yourself so much that you're willing to bet your money on it. And making that decision, making that powerful action with your money, that is what quantum leaps you into your next level of abundance because you're committing to yourself in a bigger way. And often the investments that we make, especially the ones that feel uncomfortable, especially the ones that stretch us financially and emotionally and mentally, those require us to become different people just through the act of saying yes. And there are a lot of people who don't say yes. And that's okay, right? Sometimes it's not the aligned investment. Sometimes it's not the right time. And that's okay. There's no judgment here. What I am not saying is you have to say yes to every single investment. Otherwise, you're not abundant. That is not what I am saying. What I am saying is in order to grow, we need to stretch. And investments, using your money as a powerful tool to affirm what is possible for you, using those investments as a catalyst for growth, using your investments as an opportunity to overcome your own limiting beliefs and believe in yourself more powerfully. Believe that you're capable, believe that you're worthy, believe in your business, believe in the end result, and believe that it's all within your power and your control, and that you will make it happen, and that this investment gets to be an opportunity for you to believe that and make it true. That is a powerful opportunity. And chances are you've already invested in yourself in powerful ways. And I really just want you to understand all of this so that you can continue to take it with you into every investment. Because an investment is more than just what you learn in the coaching program, the skill sets, the tools, even the transformations that happen throughout the container. A huge part of the value of the container comes from the decision to invest and powerfully saying yes and who you have to become in that decision. And I really want you to see that and to honor that. Because when I decided to invest in my coach, my $10,000 business coach, I know I became a different person in that moment. I know I doubled down in my business, on my business in a more powerful way. I know I was committing to myself and my vision and my purpose in a more powerful way. And because I had built up this skill set of investing in myself and becoming the person who can invest, can take those risks, and can keep going and find ways to pay for them and make sure that they do pay for themselves and make sure that I do get the value, get the lessons, get the results. That is what has created this successful business. That is what has enabled me to go full time. That is what also helps me empower my clients to take these big leaps and make this investment for themselves. And it all comes back to recognizing what is within your power and your control. Instead of surrendering power over to the investments that you're making, over to the program, over to the coach, and expecting that that will fix your problems or help you get to where you want to go, what if you claimed your power and your control over your life and over your business? What if you stepped into every investment decision from a place of belief and abundance? What if it was guaranteed that you would get the value, that you would get the result? What would you decide in that moment? And how can you ensure that it is guaranteed, that you do get the result through how you show up and through who you choose to be through the entire container, through the entire program? And that's where real results come from. And if you're someone who has invested in something before and it feels like it didn't pay off, you didn't get the results, and maybe you've been burned by, quote, bad investments, you can do this retroactively too. You can look back and say, what did I gain? What was the value? What was the lessons? What was the learning? Because I promise you that there is something there. Because I felt the same exact way when I invested in my first business coach and didn't get the results I was expecting. And I was like, wow, that was a huge waste of money. But after the fact, realizing, wow, that was actually a massive catalyst for growth because I believed in myself so deeply and chose to commit to my business in such a powerful way. And I don't think I would have gotten that had I not made that investment. In fact, I probably would have given up on my business. And flash forward a couple years later, even though I didn't make money right away from working with that coach, I use those skills now. That was all just building the foundation for where I am now. So you can use this in retrospect as well and look at every single investment you already have made and see how was each one of those investments a quantum leap into your next level of abundance over and over and over again. Because when we make investments in ourselves, in coaching, in our vision, we have so much power. We have so much control over who we become as a result, and therefore the results and the value that we receive. And I really want you to see this clearly so you can take advantage of every single investment you make from here on out for the rest of your life. Making sure not only that you receive the value that you're paying for, like whatever the value is delivered within the program, but that you fully receive the value of being somebody who invests and who you have to become to confidently invest in yourself. What you have to think, what you have to feel, what you have to believe about yourself, your vision, and your business, all of that comes into play when you bet your money on yourself. Your money is a tool for manifestation, and the energy that you bring into your investments, the money amplifies that and expands that. So when you make an investment from this energy of, it's not working, I'm a failure, I'm desperate, please help me, please fix this, which is what I was in when I first made that investment, I bet my money on that energy. And my money amplified it and expanded that result. Versus when I make investments now, and when I support people in investing in empowered abundance, the people that do invest confidently from a place of, I deserve this. My abundance is possible. My vision is possible. I can be in control of my money. I can afford this. I can become the person who can afford this. This is worth it to me. My vision is worth it to me. And I am capable of finding how I can make this happen, of getting creative, of expanding my capacity to call in more money right now so that I can confidently make this investment. And so when people do invest in the Empowered Abundance program, what it does is it quantum leaps them into their next level of abundance automatically. You have to be able to see the full value, the full deep value that you are capable of receiving every time you invest in yourself. And my favorite quote from one of my clients, we were on a consultation. She was in a tough financial situation. She wasn't really bringing in that much money, young, single mom. And I remember in that moment when I told her all about empowered abundance and how it would support her, and we were talking through if this was the right decision for her. And she said on that call, I can't afford not to. And that to me is the perfect measure of seeing the difference between the obstacles that get in our way of not just investing, but of really living the lives we want to live. And how in that moment where we get to make the choice to invest, we're making the choice to step beyond those obstacles, beyond those hurdles in that investment moment. And that is a representation of our capability to step over all obstacles, all hurdles, all challenges that we face in our lives. Investments are a catalyst for growth. They can be uncomfortable, they can be scary, they can feel like a risk, and not all of them are aligned. But also, we can use them to slingshot us into the kind of life that we want to live, into the mindset and the belief of the version of us who is living our vision, who is getting the results that we desire. I empower people on consults to make the decision as their abundant self would make it. And that doesn't mean just like, yes, I have plenty of money, so I'm going to throw money at this. No, your abundant self is still grounded and logical and strategic and intentional. But how does your abundant self make this choice? What are the factors that they consider? What do they believe about you and your vision and your capability? What do they believe about the value of this work? And how do they make this choice? How do they rise up to be someone who's capable of making this choice? And when you bet your money from that place, that energy, that mindset, that is what steps you into your next level of abundance. And that's what I have for you today. This week on the Empowered and Abundant podcast, take this information with you into your business. And this is important not only for you and the investments that you make, but also how you talk to your clients and the people who are thinking about investing in you. The more that you practice this for yourself and that you are able to confidently invest in your future, and the mindset you bring to your investments and the perspective you bring to your investments, the easier it is to support other people in taking those leaps of faith from deep trust on themselves to get the support that they need by working with you. Enrollment is currently open for the next round of the Empowered Abundance program. I decided to extend the enrollment date because I feel like there's someone else out there that is really ready to transform their relationship with money and take this work to the next level. So if that is you and you're feeling the call and you're ready to step into your next level of abundance, you're ready to support yourself financially with the work you love, and you're ready to stop letting money hold you back, and instead you're ready to be the one in control of your money, be the one in control of your life, then I invite you to book a consultation with me, where we'll explore if empowered abundance is the right aligned next step for you. And I'm there to support you in overcoming any hurdles or obstacles getting in your way so that you can say yes to this from a confident and abundant place and use this investment as an opportunity to slingshot into your next level of abundance. You can book your consultation with me using the link in the show notes below or by going to my website, thebizhippie.com/abundance. If you're ready, then I invite you to book your consultation soon because this next round starts April 30th. Have a great rest of your Money Monday, and I will see you next week.